Yesterday, you took a look at how to add and subtract integers. Today, we're going to go to the next logical step and deal with adding and subtracting fractions and decimals. So the first thing we want to talk about is how we combine those fractions. First step is going to be that finding that common denominator, dividing that pie or bars, etc., into equal numbers of pieces. And you guys have been doing this since you learned how to start adding and subtracting fractions in about 4th grade. So I don't want to spend too much time going over the process, but just make sure that you're getting these down, especially if you've struggled with fractions in the past. Step 2, change your numerator accordingly, because remember, when you change that denominator, you have to change the numerator, otherwise the fractions are no longer equivalent to the starting fractions in the problem. Once you've done that, you will add or subtract your numerators, leaving the denominators the same. Accordingly, same rules as when adding and subtracting integers, except now you have the fractions and you need to make sure you're doing just the numerators, not the denominators. And finally, simplify your answer if possible. So taking a look at some examples, we've got these fraction problems that we're going to run through. So my first one, I've got 3/4 minus 6/5. So the first thing I want to do is use my knowledge from last learning target of GCF LCM, and we're looking at the LCM part, and know that the common denominator for 4 and 5 is 20. And yes, I do expect you to show all of your work, because I want to make sure that you're getting all your steps, and if you're making a mistake, I can find where that mistake is. 4 times 5 gave us 20, so we're going to multiply 3 by 5 and give me 15. And then 5 times 4 gave me 20, so 6 times 4 gives me 24. So now that I've had that chance, now I take a look and say, well, I know that 20 is going to be my denominator, because I leave that alone. And I have 15 minus 24. And we add the opposite and get 15 plus negative 24. The signs are different, so we find the difference. 24 minus 15. When I subtract those, I get 9. And so we get 9, but because 24 was negative, it's negative 9/20. And in this particular case, I cannot simplify. Let's take a look at the next one. 2/7 plus 1/9. My common denominator here, because 7 is prime and 9 does not have 7 for a common factor, we'll multiply those two denominators together to get 63. And I took 7 times 9 to get 63, so I'll take 2 times 9, which is 18. And 9 times 7 is 63, so I'll take 1 times 7, which is 7. We add those two together, and we get 18 plus 7 is 25 over 63. And this, once again, we cannot simplify. It looks messy, but we're going to leave it. The next problem we have here, we've got Kaya. Kaya's baking muffins and cupcakes for her birthday party. The muffin recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of flour and 2/3 a cup for cupcakes. How much flour is needed in all? In all are those key words there. That signifies we're going to add. So we are going to go ahead and add 3/4 plus 2/3. 3 and 4 are right next to each other to get the least common multiple. We take 4 times 3, which is 12. As you can see, I like to put my denominators down right away so I don't forget. I see that 4 times 3 gives me 12, so we'll do 3 times 3, which is 9. 3 times 4 gives me 12, so 2 times 4 gives me 8. 9/12 plus 8/12 is 17/12. Well, I don't like having a denominator smaller than the numerator, So we're going to go ahead and say, well, 12 goes into 17 once. There's 5 left over. So we have 1 and 5/12 cups of flour. Please make sure on word problems that you're putting a label on your answer, because without the label, it doesn't show me you have full understanding of that word problem.